My name is Abby Williams, and this is how Kurt Cobain and the band Nirvana impacted the 20th century music industry. Still to this day, they are seen as one of the most influential rock bands that ever existed. Kurt Donald Cobain was born in 1967 to a family with a strong musical and artistic background. Cobain started singing at the age of 2 and playing piano at age 4. By age 9, he started to write his own songs and draw detailed pictures for fun. When Cobain was a teenager, his parents divorced and remarried. His mother married into an abusive relationship, ended up in the hospital several times, and then gave all custodial rights to his father. His father could not handle Cobain's temper, so he ended up living with a devout Christian family who was a friend of his father's for the rest of his high school years. Cobain's best friend came out as gay, and he remained friends with him even though the kids at school bullied Cobain for supposedly being gay as well. Cobain said although he never really was gay, he liked that people thought he was because they left him alone after that, and he hated people. Cobain dropped out of high school 2 weeks before graduation, and his mother would not take him in, therefore leading him to a path of homelessness. In 1986, his uncle gave him a guitar for his birthday, and he finally had enough money for an apartment. He got together with Chris Novoselic, a friend who played guitar, and endlessly searched for a permanent drummer. They found Dave Grohl, a Foo Fighters band member, and created the Seattle grunge band Nirvana, which originated from Buddhist concept of freedom from pain. Kurt Cobain only produced 3 full-length studio albums, but in that short time he left his mark on history. His incredible musical and songwriting abilities brought quick fame to the young musician. The most well-known song by Nirvana is Smells Like Teen Spirit. Most of you are probably familiar with this song, but there is a quick sample on the next slide for those who are not. Nirvana changed the entire music industry and what people thought about rock. He promoted an entire new genre to the people, and they loved it. Kurt Cobain is ranked number 30 on Rolling Stone's Greatest Musicians of All Time and number 12 for Greatest Guitarists of All Time. Nirvana was nominated for 7 Grammys and won one of them for Best Alternative Music Performance. Nirvana also won 4 MTV Awards and an American Music Award for Favorite Hard Rock Artist. Almost all of Nirvana's songs were Billboard hits in the 90s. Nirvana encouraged the grunge scene and was followed by many upcoming 90s grunge bands such as Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Stone Temple Pilots. Nirvana was one of the best-known bands of its time. Here is the sample for Smells Like Teen Spirit. Kurt Cobain was an important person to the history and development of the 20th century in several ways. Nirvana made the grunge scene of the 90s popular. Nirvana and other grunge bands basically eradicated 80s hair bands. People were shamed for listening to anything other than grunge rock. They made their mark on history by becoming one of the most popular bands in the 90s. Nirvana changed the music culture by influencing a whole new generation. The way they listened to music, the way they dressed, and the way they acted were all single-handedly influenced by Nirvana. Kurt Cobain had an ear that was different from all the rest. Instead of conforming to the common hairband type of music, he used his talents to introduce a new-sounding type of music. His nonconformist way of thinking was influential to an entire generation. Not only did Nirvana majorly influence society on music, but he also stood up for people who were considered outcasts. Countless of times, Cobain and his other band members would play at gay pride rallies. His deep lyrics told the audience that it was okay to be depressed and it was okay to be different. They promoted feminism and didn't bash women in their music. He stood up and spoke out against racism, discrimination, and anything that was unfair to a group of people. He wanted people to treat each other as equals instead of thinking they're better than one another. His kind heart rubbed off against rubbed off on his fans and made society think about their actions. He was the person that took topics that nobody would really talk about at the time and put them into the spotlight to show hate was wrong. Kurt Cobain was the voice of the underdog, and his message still carries on today. Even though he was riddled with depression, he knew what was right and wrong in this world and used his talents to express that. Others sang about girls and cars, but he sung verses that were relatable and meaningful to people's thoughts and feelings. This was much different than past and even present musicians because so many choose to write music based off superficial, materialistic things. Other than that, he wrote about the things that really mattered in life. Kurt Cobain committed suicide April 5th, 1994 at his home in Seattle. He left his wife Courtney Love and his young daughter Frances. There were traces of heroin in his system when the coroner found him. With such a talented and influential individual gone, the nation was in shock. Even though Cobain's death was over 20 years ago, his music is still played today. His message still has the same impact it did 20 years ago. This great musician may be dead, but the impression he had on the world will never fade away. Kurt Cobain's legacy will live on for many more generations to come.